This is Scott Drake, and you're watching the Legal Broadcast Network. A woman whose 200-pound chimpanzee mauled and disfigured her best friend is vulnerable to a costly civil lawsuit, while the state also could face legal trouble for failing to take action. My guest is Joyce Tischler. She is the founder and president of the Animal Legal Defense Fund. Welcome back, Joyce.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
I know you typically don't run into stories like this very often, but what can you tell us about chimpanzee behavior? This seems like a pretty big chimpanzee as well here. This isn't a good pet, is it?
Chimpanzees should not be pets. No wild animal should be a pet. A 200-pound adult chimpanzee is not a hairy little person, even though they tend to walk on fours and they are smaller than we are for the most part. They have the arm strength, or 4 times the arm strength of a human male. A 15-year-old chimpanzee is at the point in his life where he's challenging more established males for dominance. He's trying to domineer females. He's trying to mate. This chimpanzee was acting as a chimpanzee.
Now, he wasn't trying to mate with this woman, was he?
I can't say that he was, but in the wild, that's what a 15-year-old chimpanzee would be doing. It would be perfectly normal behavior to be taking lots of risks, fighting, warring, incurring injuries. This chimpanzee was a time bomb just waiting to go off, and so it should be no surprise that it went off. And within the animal protection movement, we see this happening fairly frequently with chimpanzees.
So he's a 15-year-old chimpanzee, and you're saying he gets kind of grumpy as he gets older, like people do.
Well, no. I mean, he's a teenage chimpanzee.
Oh, okay.
He is doing what a normal teenage chimpanzee is doing. He's hormonally active. He's ready to mate. He's ready to fight.
Okay, I forgot. I was thinking in dog years. So a chimpanzee at 15 compared to a human is about the same age?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
Well, yeah, a chimpanzee in the wild can live to be around 50. They live a little longer in captivity.
Really?
And, we see them on commercials and we think, oh, aren't they cute? Well, you're seeing infants because they're the only ones, under 3-4 years old who can be managed. Once they get to be about 5 or 6, they can't be managed. They are way too strong, way too aggressive. And so they shouldn't be in people's homes. That was a very dangerous situation to allow to exist. And what happened is tragic, but totally predictable.
Let's talk about the state's involvement here because they seem to have okayed her keeping this animal.
Yes.
Why would they even consider that?
Connecticut requires people to have a permit if they have a primate, which is ridiculous. There are 20 states that completely ban keeping primates as pets, and the legislators in Connecticut should know better. They have failed to protect citizens. They should have a strict regulation banning primates as pets. And the federal government is equally culpable. Chimpanzees are highly endangered, and yet on the federal endangered species list, there is a split listing. Chimpanzees are listed as endangered, but also if they are captive bred in the U.S., they are listed as threatened. And what that threatened status allows is for people to have them as pets, for the biomedical research industry to use them, for people to train them, and that's not a smart policy. They should be listed as endangered because they are endangered in the wild. And if the Fish and Wildlife Service would do what it's supposed to do, this sort of thing would not happen because people would not be able to have them as pets. So there's a lot of culpability. There's the federal government, which has this split listing. There's the state government, which has not banned all pets. And there's the individual owner who is completely out of touch with the fact that she has a wild animal in her house, and a wild animal is going to act like a wild animal.
Do you think that because of the state and the city, do you think that she's probably not going to be vulnerable to some kind of lawsuit, that they're going to have to take the heat on this?
Frankly, if I were representing the plaintiff, I'd sue everybody.
Yeah.
I'd let them figure it out.
Right.
I think there's culpability all around.
How would a woman like this get a chimpanzee like this? Do you get it as an infant, and then you raise it, and then it just gets out of control?
Yeah,
Okay.
Exactly. Most people get them as infants. They're very cute. They're sort of childlike. You can go on the Internet, and you can purchase them, and then they grow, and people convince themselves that, oh, if I diaper him and I give him his own bed and treat him as a human child, he'll act as a human child. And that's beyond stupid. No, he's not going to act like a human child. He's a chimpanzee. And I can't say that enough. They are wild. They have instincts that we no longer have. They don't live by our social norms. And they're very bright, and they are far stronger than we are. So having them in a suburban home is absolutely incredibly stupid.
Now, she also said that she speculated that the chimpanzee was kind of being protective of her and attacked the other woman because the other woman had a different hairstyle, was driving a different car, and had some sort of toy in front of her face that she was waving and that just set him off?
You know, whenever we hear these cases, the people who own these animals are making all sorts of excuses. And there is no excuse other than what I said at the start. This is a 15-year-old chimpanzee who was acting in a way that was quite normal for a 15-year-old chimpanzee. And that was violent and challenging. And this animal should have been in Africa, not in suburban Stamford, Connecticut.
My guest is Joyce Tischler. She is the founder and president of the Animal Legal Defense Fund. Joyce, thanks for talking with us today.
Thank you.
This is Scott Drake, and you're watching the Legal Broadcast Network. This is Scott Drake, and we know that as an attorney, you're very busy. That's why we have more content just like this at your fingertips, conveniently located at legalbroadcastnetwork.com. Thanks for watching.